All right. So we're back with we're appending the last show. Dr. Jean Dodds was so nice to come back with us, and she sent a few articles, and I said, "Would you come back and explain these in a little bit more depth, that based on what we talked about in the show we just did?" So, hi, Dr. Dodds.
Hi.
All
I,
right, so
Go ahead.
we're going to get right into it. And you and I only spoke briefly. I said, which one do we want to start with? And
Mhm.
you said, let's start with the topicals for flea and tick that go on our animals. So I'll let you take the floor.
Right. Well, so many of us worldwide are concerned about insects, fleas and ticks specifically, as well as mosquitoes and other insects, not only for ourselves and especially our children and babies, but also for our companion animals.
Yep.
And the United Kingdom, with 22 specific organizations there, has just released a ban request published in the Veterinary Record in November of 2023 against, actually, it was 24 organizations signed it. And there are 5 chemicals that have already been banned for use on agricultural crops. And this is now not to use them on the spot on flea and tick products. And the products are fipronil, imidacloprid, permethrin and related products, dinotfuran, and nitropyram. And I'm reading it to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
Okay.
So they contaminate the environment with the water, streams, lakes, and anywhere you're swimming. Family members and children petting them are going to be exposed. And there's been a huge issue about the fact that in the United States, an article has been printed recently about how these products are transferred to the environment. For example, if you put one of these products on a dog, it's going to contaminate anything around it, including birds, nesting birds, all other species, rabbits, rodents, whatever, cats, and humans. And so they transfer them to them. And house dust, for example, I mean, it harbors these things. It's horrible. I mean, for example, the article, which is from the Netherlands in 2023 by Diepens and colleagues, hair is contaminated, urine, feces, soil, invertebrates in the soil, washes off in the rain with bathing, with swimming,
Wow.
and again in house dust. That's really horrible. It's very concerning.
Well, even if a couple things come to my mind. If you just think about, I mean, if I kiss my dog a lot, I certainly pet my dog. I'm all over my dog. That stuff you put on a few drops on the back according to the instructions, and it's supposed to spread. Let's assume it does. Even if it doesn't, it's just in that local area, which it is not. That's still what you're not supposed to touch your dog there. I mean, it doesn't make any
Yeah, it
sense.
spreads everywhere, though. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, the dog is rolling around. It's on the carpet. It's on the couch. Maybe if you let your dog on the couch, it's all over. And so the bathing, this gets in the bloodstream. That's why it kills. What it does. It's systematic. It's not just. I think people like this idea that, oh, it's not a. Some people, I'm sure, buy this stuff because they say it's not a pill. I can just put these easy, beautiful, clear drops on them. But we got to think about what this stuff is and how the carriers that spread they're just chemicals. That's all it is.
And they've examined the wastewater, for example, coming out of New York City,
Yeah.
and the wastewater is contaminated with all these chemicals and any other chemicals and drugs. Now, we don't want to name any trade names,
Yeah.
but you've got big pharma involved here. You've
Yeah.
got companies like Merck, like Zoetis, like, let's see, who else? The collars, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the generic products that are sold by Hearts, by Spectrum, by Sentry, by Barrier, and by Safari. Elanco also, that's the Eli Lilly new name. They make these products as well. And so we're not talking about trade names, but our listeners need to be able to go online and read about these. And do you know that in the end of April 2021, when we published our latest data of that, there were 1,577,958, according to the US FDA, adverse reaction reports from these products, and 60,909 pets died.
Wow.
That is just unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Yeah. And also, it's fun to Google before you start considering these things. Just start Googling the brand name and with the word lawsuits. That's all I'll say.
Yes, there are actually 3 class action lawsuits ongoing right now.
Yep.
One in Quebec with over 2,000 plaintiffs, and 2 in the United States. The one in New Jersey has over 4,000 plaintiffs. And I am not a paid person involved in any of this. All I've done is written scientific articles stating what we knew. And what do we know about these compounds, Rob?
Yeah.
We know that in 1999, Kwan and colleagues published the fact that these products were produced for people to prevent clotting of small blood vessels, in other words, thrombosis. And they blocked what is known as coagulation factor 10A, which changes the way clots form in the body. So one of the things that the adverse reaction have seen now is bleeding. Actual hemolysis of blood when you put the products in the blood. It causes hepatic necrosis. It causes kidney damage. It causes horrible behavioral things. Now, what happened when these products first came on the market, and they're the largest money makers for these companies, by the way, right now, for companion animals, they came on the market and it didn't have any warning label on it about it, except the usual thing about if you have an idiosyncratic unknown adverse reaction. Then, because of all these findings published in Argentina, where they looked at the chemical structure of these compounds and why it would do what it did, in Japan, in Australia, in the EMA, European Medicines Agency, is about to ban all these compounds. And when they did that, they put a warning on the label. First in Canada, required by the government. First in Canada, and then 2 years later in the United States. The warning is in tiny 7-point silver print on a black background. It appears on all of these products, but veterinarians that have been prescribing them haven't realized that the label has changed, and now it has all this warning on them. So many veterinarians, even though they should know, may not be aware that the label has changed. And
because they've just been
reads it. Yeah.
They've been prescribing it for a long time.
Right. And they're totally upset.
Sure.
Unprovoked aggression, an animal that you're petting that's on the couch, like you say yesterday, you pet the animal every night, all of a sudden it goes for your throat. It's actually destroyed the face of one person.
Wow.
They don't know what they're doing.
This stuff is so dangerous. We have an article in Dog Microbiome magazine from Margot Roman that one of her clients' dogs was on a really strong antibiotic. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one. The dog peed. The infant accidentally got into the pee and had burns all over its body from the exposure of the urine of the dog.
Margot very well, correct.
Yep. And this is how serious these are strong chemicals. I mean, how are they killing fleas? How are they killing ticks? I'm no friend of fleas and ticks. I don't enjoy them, but they're living beings, and the way they get killed is by attacking their systems. And so I've just never understood how we're going to kill one being and attack its system and not affect the other being that's the host we're trying
to. And the products in the collars have been found to be unsafe as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Different products. Now, years ago, they claimed that all these things were insect specific, and so they didn't harm any other being. Well, that's just not true. It's never been. How could that be? And when we first started asking those questions, we had some of the scientists contact us privately. They couldn't do it through their company, saying, don't believe it. Obviously, pharmacologically, they can do all of the damage to other species as well.
Sure, including us.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, please, folks, have a healthy skepticism. Please read at least read the label of the chemicals of the pharmaceuticals. ask your vet to explain the label if you don't understand it.
Right.
You know, they should be able to do that.
Right. I mean, obviously we have to use products, and there are some that are relatively safer. There's some natural products that can help. But please try to avoid the ones that have been found to be so harmful.
Yeah, yeah. For you and your pet and your kids. Well, let's go through real quick. Let's just we'll post these articles on the YouTube page, the links to them, and so you can view them for yourselves. So real quick, we'll just take a quick couple seconds to show you some of these. So I'm brand new to these sharing of screen thing here. Okay, here we go. Let's just do this one first.
Yes, that's the one that talks about how the environment is contaminated. That's an incredible paper. It shows you the diagram of how it happens. It's
you just
no-brainer, actually.
Yep, surface water, rain.
Mhm.
And if you think, folks, if you're watching this and you're going, come on, a dog being bathed, are you serious? Feces, urine, is that really going to affect bird nests and all? And so what do you say to that, Dr. Dodds?
Absolutely, it does. There's no question. I mean, the data are unequivocal in this study. It's a very interesting and very important paper in the Science and the Total Environment. That's a refereed, scientifically peer-reviewed journal of high status, high standing. And so it talks about all the data, and you can actually look at the tables and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, this is tremendous amount of information here, folks.
Right. They've got all of the different, hairs. It shows you the actual data from the bird's nests and the hair and whatever.
Yeah, secondary transfer to dogs, transfer to birds.
Right.
All the stuff. This is good stuff. All right. So, and then let's go into the generic chemicals.
Yes. And then there's a bunch of other chemicals that you can use that should be safer as an alternative.
Yeah. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. This one.
That's the paper that myself and John Kimball published as a second paper after our original paper from Valerie Palmieri and a group of us. I was an author on that one as well.
Yeah.
And that's looking at, there's a data on the number of which ones have more, toxicity than others. This next particular table gives you all of the different types of products and the ones that have the highest adverse reaction rate.
Yeah.
And the isoxazoline chemicals as a class, those ones that I talked about that were developed in 1999, are at the top of the list, actually.
Yeah. This is full chock full of information. If you're a reader of medical studies and science, I highly encourage you to investigate. We're back, right? Yeah, good. Right. All right. You were my first share screen on this platform, so I successfully did it. Woohoo! All right. So last parting words, Dr. Dodds. I mean, so if I'm, I just recently looked at maybe possibly moving at least part-time to Texas. And I asked a bunch of vets that I really love and respect, including Dr. Billinghurst, and all of them came back and said, you can't get away from any kind of heartworm medication. You're just, to be safe.
That's true.
So I'm just not going to move there. I mean, I have the ability not to. I don't have to for my job, thank God. And if you have to, I understand. If you're in a place where you have to do it, totally get it. But what can people do if they have to deal with fleas and ticks and other nuisances like heartworm, like, deadly nuisances?
Well, the heartworm situation is relatively easy to control because you have to protect your animal against mosquitoes. Now, remember, it's only infected mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But if you're in a warm state like Texas, the exposure risk is potentially, year round, except maybe in the very far north of Texas, because you have to have at least 55 degrees centigrade 2 weeks or more for the heartworm larvae to mature and
Yep.
be transmitted. So you just use protection. Some people actually cover their entire outside run, where the pets can exercise, with mosquito netting, insect protection netting. For fleas and ticks, there's lots of alternatives that you can use. And of course, you can brush them and clean them. If you have a short-haired dog, it's much easier. And the fleas and ticks tend to accumulate around the face, the head, the ears, whatever, within the foot pads, within the feet. So you can actually find them. But remember, if you're removing a tick, you've got to get everything out, the stinger as well, not just the top. And so you can do that easily if you can see them. If you've got very long hair, you've got a problem. And sometimes in desperation, you have to shave the whole coat down and hope it grows back in again in the right color, and do that. And it's important for the animal's well-being as well as anybody that's touching it. The animal, petting the animal, whatever. And we hug them all the time and we sleep with them many times, so I had a client who slept with 5 Great Danes in a king-size bed. I'm not sure how they ever did that.
Well, that was a client that got no sleep.
Yeah, but they were short-haired.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, and when you said on the tick, you said stinger, I know what you meant. You meant the mouth, the
Right.
part that they bore into the
Yeah,
skin,
and there's ways actually to get the stinger to be released. There's many different topicals you can read about that you can, not chemicals, that you can put on that will release the stinger and then pull it out more, with pliers or forceps, more carefully.
Yeah, there's a really good, there's just it looks like a little baby crowbar. It's plastic. I bought one and they're like
Right.
$3 and just Google how to remove it properly.
Correct.
You do a little twist and then a pull up.
Right.
But you got to be careful you don't leave that part in there. Yeah. Or you don't want to squeeze them because the toxins in them will get
Right.
into your animal.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you've got a hole there where the mouth part is, so it could go into the body under the skin. They can eat them and then they get into the layer of the gastrointestinal tract and you affect the microbiome, and therefore you have increased growth of harmful bacteria and fungus and parasites and toxins, getting into the body. You don't want that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. A tick in the toe, inside the toes, and they get it. I never even thought about that. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Between the toes. Yep. You have to be careful.
And you would never know. You would never know why these crazy symptoms are happening to your dog. It's because your dog consumed a tick.
Yeah. One thing that's antimicrobial that's very useful if once you've tried to get the ticks out between the foot pads is to soak each foot one time, 5 minutes a day, in green tea. Not black tea or white tea, but green tea. It's a potent antioxidant, antimicrobial. So you can get a little a plastic milk or juice container, cut it down, fill it with green tea, put 1 foot in at a time, hold it for 5 minutes, and then do all 4 feet. And you can do it once a day, twice a day, as often as you need. And it's incredibly healing. You do the same thing on lesions on the skin, anywhere, on the face, on the body,
I'm hearing, somebody who's maybe not used to doing something naturally, and they're going, come on, 5 minutes per paw. That's ridiculous. I can't do that. That's 20 minutes for a dog. I mean, so,
they don't mind. Because
no, but they don't mind.
It goes away and they feel better.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the person.
Oh, the person.
They mind. The thing we're doing so often, if we look at the trade of convenience and toxicity and side effects, I'm telling everyone, just take a second look at the convenience of everything, the convenience in our food, processed food, scooping food versus preparing your pet's own food, all these natural remedies. Yes, you have to spray and you have to comb your dog and you've got to prepare your yard. I know Dr. Judy Morgan in North Carolina, she sprays her whole entire property with these flea nozodes. These things take energy and they take time, and these are bargains we make.
Yes, if
And
you're going to have companion animals as your family members, you've got to take the time to take care of them properly.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Dodds. I really appreciate your time on and appending this, and we'll put those links on the bottom in the show notes, everybody.
Okay. Thanks
Thanks
very
again.
much.
Until next time, we're going to talk. I've got our next topic for you and I for next show. Thank you,
Yes,
Dr.
we're going to
Dodds.
be doing another one. Right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.